We're recording. All right. Welcome to episode 2 of Win, Lose, or Cry, a Maple Leafs podcast. I am Brandon, and we're going to talk about the first 4 games of the Leafs season. We're going to start with the Montreal game. It's the first game since the horrible loss in the playoffs. But we won. 2-1 win. Awesome. In my opinion, not that awesome because started off like crap. It's been a problem with the Leafs for several years now, and really horrible start. James, do you have anything to say about that?
I kind of disagree. I think they didn't start off strong, but I don't think they started off poorly. I mean, they let up the one goal early on, the one that Druin got there, but I don't think it was a bad goal or a bad play on anyone's part. I think the Leafs could have had better positioning on it. But all in all, it was a good goal by Montreal. It was a great turnover that they created on Muzzin's pass, and I thought they played okay. I mean, they turned around and Engvall got the goal in the end of the first period there, and they ended up pulling it out in the third period and got the win. So they didn't come out as hot as I would have liked and what I was expecting. However, I don't think they fell flat. Like, I think they were able to kind of hold their own. And as the game went on, they definitely got stronger. But I wouldn't say it was a horrible start. What do you think, Chase?
I was a little shocked to see how slow of a start for the Leafs, because especially going up against the Habs, who a lot of people say was an embarrassing loss in the playoffs, and I just think it was a little bit more overconfidence once the Leafs got that lead. But they did bounce back. A little bit of a side note on the game. I was actually very happy to see Druin have a very strong game coming back, because it took a lot of guts for him to do what he did last year, take the step back, work on his mental health, which seems to be a big thing right now in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
But they did have, like, once that first period ended, they did have a strong second and third. They did get outshot 32-30. But that was just because the first period was a little bit slower.
Yeah.
And to jump on James's kind of comment there, that first goal by Druin, it was just an unlucky play, because when you have both Josh Anderson and Jonathan Druin, who have unbelievable speed coming down on a 2-on-1, it's hard for a younger defenseman like Justin Hall and Campbell to kind of really work on that chemistry that early to know, okay, the pass is going to come or where they need to be for the angling. So all in all, the Leafs did play a good game. They were 58% in the face-off dot, and they killed all 4 power plays the Habs had. So really, yeah, slow start, but overall, that's a pretty solid first game.
I agree.
So,
yeah.
Sorry, I'm just going to jump in there quick. So yes, they were outshot 32-30. However, that's not because of the first and second period. That's all due to the third period. In the first period, they tied in shots 9-9. The second period, the Leafs outshot them 14-11, but the third period, Montreal stepped up and outshot the Leafs 12-7. So as slow as the Leafs may have come out of the gate and how well they picked it up, Montreal still outshot them in the third period there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Campbell was just able to step up to the job and do what he was able to do.
And part of that is score effects. The third period, you're down, goalie pulled, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I agree with you guys. They did play a good game. It's just you're playing the team that beat you in the playoffs. So you were up 3-1. Probably the most embarrassing loss for the Leafs, and that's saying something. One of the most embarrassing playoff losses they've had. And the first time they get to see them again, you want to be like, okay, we can do this. And the first period, they came out like a wet fart. It was just, they were slow, and they weren't putting out horrible mistakes, but they just looked like they were on the second half of a back-to-back, in my opinion.
It looked like they were tired.
Yeah, and that's
That's
unacceptable.
how it looked.
It's unacceptable. It's the first game of the season against the guys that humiliated you, and you come out like, yeah, I guess we'll play tonight. Like, whatever.
You know what? That's exactly how the first period looked.
Yeah.
It's, oh, well, we got to go play some hockey.
And
here we go.
And that's the problem with the Leafs over and over and over, is that everyone's like, they got the talent, but they don't have the effort most of the time.
Yeah.
And to see that in the first game, I was like disheartened about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah. What do you think about game 2 there, Chase?
A little bit of mixed emotions on game 2, because again, for game 2 they started off extremely slow. They let Ottawa jump out to an early lead. But then it just seemed like as the game progressed and you got into the second period and then into the third, that flip switched and the Leafs went balls to the wall and they put the pressure on Ottawa. And
late.
if it wasn't for Forsberg and net for the Sens, that game would have been out of hand so fast.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
they
absolutely.
Stood on his
The Leafs
head.
outshot Ottawa 48-36, and a lot of that because they were outshot. If I remember correctly, I think it was 12-4 or 12-6 in that first period against the Sens. But then after that, the center, like the Leafs took over. Their power play started clicking. They were 2 for 5. They killed off 3 of 4 of the power plays the Sens had. And again, they started owning the faceoff dot, and they were 54%. Like when you have that dominance in a game in the faceoff dot, you are going to have a bit of a stranglehold because the team that you're playing, they can't get any offensive zone pressure. They can't get any breakouts because you're most likely winning a bunch of the offensive zone faceoffs against them. So it really puts them behind the 8 ball and to try to catch up to the game speed as the game goes along.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. They did come out slow, but one thing I do want to correct you on: first period, the Leafs outshot the Sens.
I thought it was the other way around.
17-12.
Yeah, the Leafs did outshoot them.
17-12, they outshot them. And the second period, the Sens outshot the Leafs 14-6.
Oh, okay.
So I do agree. The Leafs came out slow, and Ottawa came out swinging. They came out strong. They had the one goal that was questionable when it was kicked in.
Yeah.
The refs called it a goal, so we're going with it a goal. I think that kind of set the tone, though, for the rest of the first period there. And I think the big story was, the third period, they outshot the Sens 25-10, and they were able to capitalize on 2 of the power plays, with Spezza and Nylander both putting power play points up. So it was a weak start, and not McElhinney. Oh my goodness, that goes back and shows you how long. Mrazek, sorry. Mrazek getting injured there.
Oh,
and that's the most important thing I want to talk about this game here. Because he goes down at the end of the second, and Campbell starts the third.
Yes.
I don't think it's coincidence that the Leafs put up 25 shots, outshot Ottawa 25-10, and was able to score 2 goals just because it's the third period. I think that had something to do with Campbell standing behind them. I think it gave the team confidence, and it was like a switch when that third period started.
It's great to see they play so hard for Campbell because everyone loves him. Everyone loves him. He's such a great dude.
Anytime a team brings in a new goalie, like even though it's like it could be like an all-star like Mrazek, I wouldn't say Mrazek's an all-star, but a very
competent goalie.
Very competent goalie, very strong goalie in Mrazek. There's always still a bit of a nerve to how you have to play your game in front of them. Yeah, you had a couple preseason games with him, but it's not the same as a regular season.
No.
But when you have a goalie like Campbell who stood on his head going down that backstretch last year to get the Leafs where they were in the playoffs, and then who played very strong through that first round, it just adds that extra little confidence boost for the D so they feel like they can pinch a little bit more because then that way they don't have to sit back and they feel like they got to block shots.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it makes your team a lot more at ease when you're going into a bit of a hole like that.
Yeah, and it allows the forwards to go deeper into the corners, not have to play back a little bit. They can fully dive into those corners. They can dive into the offensive zone and not have to worry about keeping a man back. I think having him back there, as much as I was a little cautious going into the season with him, after seeing what happened in the third period there, he's better for this team, and he makes his team better. Yep. Brian, what do you think there on game 2?
Well, first of all, do you guys think that was a kick or not?
Sorry?
Do you guys think that was a kick or not for that goal?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I do. I think it was a kick, and I think the Vegas game was also a kick.
Absolutely. Yes. What are you going to do? I'm already seeing some questionable refereeing this year, and not just for the Leafs. Seeing just random crap like this for and against the Leafs. Um, yeah,
There's been a lot of not consistent refereeing because you had the 2 goals that were called Senators in Vegas that were a kicking motion. Then there was
Mhm.
one called back in Colorado St. Louis game where it looked almost identical to the other two, if not a little bit better of a redirect, and that was called back. There's been cross checks, slashes,
Well,
spears.
let's look at the suspensions that were thrown out. The boarding suspension. I know we'll touch on it later, but I mean, one's a suspension, one's not. Like you're
Yeah,
flipping a
and
coin at this point,
if
going, "Oh, that one's a penalty. Oh, this one's
like
not."
if
Like,
you're gonna call if you're gonna call a certain way, it needs to be consistent. People can't be you can't be playing a fast game like hockey and not you don't know what a penalty is. Like what was the joke a couple years ago? What is goalie interference? What is goalie
yeah,
interference? That was like
yeah,
a meme. Remember the Matthews point thing? Like
yeah,
that was that year. It was that. This year is it going to be kicking? Like it's every year there's something new. Like come
yeah.
on, man. But anyway, I that's all I got to say about game two. Like again, bad start. I not as bad of a start, but that one goal is fluky. You can't blame anybody for that. That's bullshit. But
And
what are you gonna do?
no matter what happens there, when you have a goal that goes in that is questionable and you don't believe it was deserved, it's gonna take a toll on the team.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right? It happens whether it was an offside call and they allowed a goal. Like it's gonna take a toll on the team if they allow it in. And in my opinion, it did in the first period
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
yep.
And it's just it's again it's the same pattern of go down in the first, play okay in the second, come back in the third. But it doesn't always work, and we saw that
You
in
can't,
the playoffs. They did the same thing, and it's been a
yep,
thing.
you can't win a Stanley Cup like
You
that.
can't play 10 minutes of the third period and expect to win, and
No.
it's still a problem. We'll talk about it later when we're done with when we can dive into it. But we should I
Hmm.
want to get through the rest of the games if you guys are cool with that.
All right, let's go on to a better subject then.
Game
Game three.
three. Game three. 3-1. Revenge against Ottawa. Taking
Yeah.
down Forsberg. I thought they came out of the gate. They're flying out the gate.
Yeah.
It was great. And I missed the first 10 minutes of the game. I was driving in my car and I'm just cheering on.
Yeah,
I
oh, yeah.
was loving it. It was great. I want to talk about that Tavares getting robbed in I think the second period.
Yeah,
Highlight save.
that was sad to see.
Because I
That
was
was
home.
great to see as a goalie.
Pardon?
Yeah.
That was great to see
Yeah.
as a goalie.
I was home at that point and I was watching it. I screamed. My fiance was upstairs in the shower or whatever, and she's like, "Is everything okay?" Because
Yeah.
I was like, "Ah, oh!" Just I can't believe it. I can't believe that
was-
save.
That play, you can it's when you watch hockey live, sometimes you can just tell when it's going to be a goal. Like you can see the play unfolding, you can see the pass, you can see it, and that was a goal. Except they had Forsberg in net, and he decided to change the script last second.
That is a robbery. That is a robbery. Someone should call
Oh,
the police.
it
and he should be
hurt.
arrested for that. He robbed Tavares blind in
it
Toronto.
hurt. It hurt.
Uh,
Yeah.
Before I move on to you, James, the last thing I want to talk about is Marner is really having some issues. He missed. When they had the goalie pulled at the end. I mean, he hasn't been producing much, but he's looking like he's. It's not like he's not giving effort. I'm not saying that. He's looking like he's trying,
Yeah.
but he's got something going on in his head, man. There's something blocking him. Like even at the end, they had the goalie pulled, and he missed 2 open nets, and not open as in the goalie was moved over to the side. The goalie was pulled, and he was 10 feet away from it, even less, and he
Mhm.
missed the net twice. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like that, I think you saw what I saw over there. Like, it didn't cost us the game or anything, but I'm like, dude, that's an open net.
But it could have. Potentially
It could have.
Could
It could have.
if it was If it was a closer game, and if you had missed the net and they took it down to our end and scored, that could
Yeah,
cost the game,
exactly.
right? Like
That's why I'm
you,
bringing
you
it up.
can't be missing that.
You can't twice. He missed it.
Yeah.
So I sorry, I can't remember the player, but he missed it. Someone got the rebound, passed it back to him, completely open, and he completely missed the net. Then hit the post, didn't hit a player, just missed it.
Yeah, you can't be missing that. Not from there.
James,
I-
on to you, buddy. What do you?
Yeah,
what do you
I think game 3 was a great game through and through. I think goaltending they played well. I think offensively they played great. Sandin's pass for that first goal was perfection.
To
Like
my
the way and not even Sandin though, the way the whole play unraveled. How Dermott brought it across the blue line to Sandin, Sandin up the left side. Simmons didn't have to do anything.
No.
Sandin did it all. Simmons got the goal though. It was one of those ones where the assist was more important than the
Yeah.
and then I want to touch on Kerfoot as well. His goal in the first period, because it was more than just him standing there putting that puck in the net. There was 3 Ottawa players breaking out at the blue line. He caused the turnover, put the puck into their end again. Bunting took it on the corner, put it up and around the boards to Nylander, and then Kerfoot, after taking the puck off an Ottawa player, jumped in front of the net, received the pass, and got the goal. So he started that play and he finished that.
Are you
So
actually?
I think
Are you actually giving Kerfoot props? You?
we won, didn't we? That's technically the game-winning goal. It was the second goal scored.
Yeah.
That is the game-winning goal. And he, like I said, 3 Ottawa players breaking out at the same time. He took it off them, got in position, and then got the goal. Like, he started and ended that play, and it was awesome to see. And then, yeah, like you said, with Tavares getting robbed there in the second period, it was heartbreaking. Norris's goal in the second period, touching on your point about Marner. The puck was in the corner. Marner was the first player to get there, and he turned it over within like 3-4 feet of himself, and they capitalized on it and scored because of it.
There's
So-
something up with him, man. I'm not saying injury.
really agree with you there.
It's definitely not an injury.
It's mentally.
It's a mental, and it's really affecting him. It's
it's
affecting the team.
It absolutely is, and it could be just all the hate he got in the offseason, right? He could be sitting there mentally. He didn't get a single in the postseason, so like it could be something mentally for him. And there's one other thing I want to talk about Richie, but I think we'll get into that later.
Yeah,
so
we'll get into Richie. We'll get into Bunting. We'll get into those guys.
yeah. So Chase, what do you think there of the 3-1?
I think it was a great game for the Leafs overall, and for me, saying that it hurts a little bit given the Leafs that much props, but no, they played very well. To touch on James's point, both of your points, really about Marner. When you're in a market like that where the media is on your back, the fans are constantly just ripping you if you do, let's say, even just one thing wrong, because it's such a winning mentality in Toronto, and that's great. Like, you can't get angry at that. But he's gripping his stick way too tight. He's overthinking. It's almost like he just needs to sit down, and I don't know if it's with Keefe, if it may be with like Spezza or one of the other veterans on the team like Muzzin, who's been all the way and won a cup. But they have to sit him down and just like, kid, like, listen, like, you're still young. You're still a great hockey player. You have all the talent in the world. Let's just go and get this done. Just relax, play your game, and things will come. Kerfoot, I've never been shy to give Kerfoot the props that he deserves. Watching him in Colorado when he came out of college, he fit the system well. And then seeing him play in Game 3, that was exactly what I was used to seeing. He's a two-way kind of guy. He's not going to dazzle you with all the fancy moves and a really hard shot, but he knows where to go in the areas and being able to find that soft spot, kind of like how Bergeron finds it in the slot in Boston. He plays that bumper role very, very well, so that gives Nylander that ability to make that pass in for a quick release. But again, like, they outshot the Sens 29-21. The unfortunate thing, they were 0 for 3 on the power play, which kind of hurts. But when you're playing that well 5-on-5, the power play can be a little bit of a back burner scenario for you in those kind of games. Penalty kill, they killed 1 of 2, and again, kind of a similar thing that we saw in game 1 and game 2, they were 65% on the draws in the faceoff dot. That is absurd.
Dominant.
Like I don't remember the last time I really dove into like a face-off stat and saw a team with 65% at the end of the game. Maybe going into the third period, yes, but 65 at the end, that's just wild.
Yeah, they're good.
And we're just getting started.
Yeah.
We're just getting started. Well, what about game 4 there?
I didn't get to see too much because I've been what I do on Saturdays, I bounce around between college football, hockey. Like I got a lot of sports on the go. But from what I was able to see, that game was so well contested, back and forth. It was a bit of a defensive battle, in the sense where the neutral zone wasn't opening up as much in the first half, but it seemed as the game went along, and obviously going overtime and everything opens up, things started getting wild. Goes back and forth hockey, which everyone loves. But everything looked good in the sense of Leafs are playing strong 5-on-5. And that's the big thing right now, because sometimes that was their Achilles heel, is they would get moving, the power play would look great, but then all of a sudden 5-on-5 there might be a little break in the armor, and it causes an unfortunate turnover and then a goal come around. But they outshot the Rangers 41-23, 0 for 3 again on the power play, but they were 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. So that, to me, I want to focus on that number, especially when you're playing a team that's got Zibanejad, Panarin, Fox, weapons on the power play. If you can keep them off the scoreboard in that facet, that's huge. And then, say it again, this stat is absurd. They were 76% in the face-off dot.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Oh yeah,
the Rangers only won 19 face-offs that entire game.
Oh my god,
they're dominant on the face-offs.
And like Tavares won 15, Matthews won 13, Kampf won 7, Spezza won 5, and clearly someone got kicked out of the face-off dot because Gabe Marner won face-off win.
Yeah, actually,
which for him, that's a confidence boost. Let's go.
I'll take one face-off win when we can get it.
But it was just an overall the game winner from Panarin overtime. It was just a nice shot off of the draw that Zibanejad was able just to get enough on it to pull it back. And for Campbell and being a goalie myself, it's hard when the shots come from that close off of that quick of a face-off draw, because you have your feet planted, but if it just changes slightly enough on an angle, you don't have enough time to get the body over, and then you're relying on your hand-eye. But if you've got a guy like Panarin shooting, he's most likely picking that one spot you cannot reach. So, again, overall, it was a great game. It was just an unfortunate break where it was a good shot, and it just beat Campbell, who had a phenomenal game as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. The Leafs, they came out strong. I think this was their best. Out of the 4 games, I think this was their best one. Even though they lost it, even though they didn't put up a lot of goals, I think defensively they played pretty well. Offensively, I mean, they were shooting, especially in the second period, out shooting the Rangers 17-2, which was also the period that Bunting got his goal.
Yeah, he did.
But yeah, like Zibanejad's goal in the first period, it was perfect.
Yeah,
it was a perfect shot. Like it was in and out so fast. If you blinked, you missed it. It was perfect.
I did miss it.
Bunting had a good goal there as well. And then that overtime looked like a highlight reel from beginning to end. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat watching the whole thing, and it's unfortunate that Panarin put it in there, but I'm not upset about the loss. No. They put up a great fight. Campbell played well. The whole team played well together. And I think sometimes you lose a game. And that was one of them. I don't think there's any reason why we lost. I think sometimes the other team's just a little bit better. And that's what happened in that one.
Yeah,
Brandon?
I agree with everything you guys have said. It's the other games I was complaining about, like the slow starts and stuff like that. I can't say a bad thing about this game other than the final result. I mean, that whole game I was loving. It was a nice speedy game. Can play some defense in there. No one budged an inch. And that OT, man, like, when Matt, again, I was on the edge of my seat too. I was yelling about it too. When Matthews missed the shot there, late
Oh
late in the
yeah.
OT. I was just as loud, if not louder, than the Tavares getting robbed in game 2 or 3, whatever it was. And then they go down the score, and I'm just like, you know what? I get mad at a lot of the Leafs losses. I complain about a lot, but I'm like, solid game. Like
Yeah.
they lost. Like, what are you gonna do about? I wouldn't have done anything differently. They played awesome. It was a fun game.
And Campbell kept us in that overtime.
Oh yeah.
Hands down, Campbell kept us in. Like even so I looked up, there was only 7 shots in overtime. 3 for the Leafs, 4 for New York.
That's
There was only
it.
7 shots total. And so the second last shot, Campbell made that big save, covered it, and they had the face off there. And then unfortunately, yeah, it back to Panarin. Panarin with the nice shot, and it was in. And it was over just like that. But I mean, there are no complaints there at all. I don't think.
No.
No.
So that's all.
So
That's all 4
go ahead.
games. I want to ask you guys a question. A little segment I'd like to do going forward, just like a little review of the Leafs week since we did our last show. So based on this week, would you call this a win, a lose? You gonna cry about it, James?
I'm gonna call it a win.
Oh yeah, what?
It's
How,
not the
how
outcome
so?
I wanted. I wanted a 4-0 outcome in the first 4 games.
Yeah, you did.
However, so they didn't do that. They did win 2, lost 1 in overtime, and lost 1 in regular. So, I mean, 5 points at the end of the day isn't terrible, but
5 of 8.
I think without Matthews for 3 of those games, that hurts us a bit there. But all in all, I think, other than maybe the first period in game 1 and the beginning of game 2, I think the Leafs played well. I mean, they had a good second, third period of game 1. They had a great third period game 2. They had a solid game 3, and they had a solid game 4. So I think all in all, is the outcome I wanted? No, but I think it was a positive week.
Jace?
I would say it's a win for the Leafs. They showed a lot of determination, a lot of guts, especially going without Matthews for the first 3 games, and putting up the stat lines they have. Because you're out your top center and you're killing it in the faceoff dot. You're still putting up offensive production. Your power play, you had 2 games where it's 0 for 3, but again, it's so early in the season. It takes a bit for the power play to keep rolling. And another big thing, the power play is still operating at just over 21%. That is really good to start the season. Normally, your top teams in the league, if you're number 1 power play, you're sitting at about 20, 23, 24, sometimes 25%. The odd teams like Tampa will, with that power play line, will hit about 28, but still, like you're 4 games in, 21% power play. Yeah, you didn't get the win that you wanted out of the New York game, but that again, just a great shot that ended it. It could have gone either way, showing, but they showed a lot of determination. The depth is really showing up. I give this a win for the week.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I give it a win. I get there are some nagging concerns, and I say that because those are concerns that they have been plagued for a couple years now, and this is kind of the year they need to stop with the whole showing up in the last period only. But overall, out of 12 periods, games 3 and 4, perfect. I wouldn't change anything. So 6 good periods there, and I'd say they played. I'd say they played 1 good period in the other 2. I'd say they played 8 good periods out of 12. So I'd call that a win. Those other 4 periods, I would call those slow starts, man. I know it's just the beginning of the year, but it's an issue that's been plaguing them for years, and this is kind of your last kick of the can. And if you don't do it now, if you don't nip that stupid issue in the bud, and we're at game 40 and they're still doing it, I would if they do that in game 40 and they had the same week, I'd call that a loss, because you're halfway to the playoffs and you still have this stupid problem that's cost you playoff games.
I agree with
Is
that.
that fair?
I'll agree with that one.
All right.
Yeah.
So wins across the board then.
Yeah,
Good way
I
to
think
start.
so. Yeah.
All right, guys.
So Brandon, do you want to go into a player? Like who do you want to discuss there first?
On the Leafs, eh? Okay. So I'll take one. You guys just kind of go along with it.
Yeah.
All right. Can I talk about my good buddy Michael Bunting?
Yes.
Of course.
Michael Bunting, who I had quite a big interest in because I took him in my fantasy hockey league. 2 goals, love it. I think
And an assist.
and an assist. Yes, he's been playing awesome, and he's doing exactly what I thought he was going to do. He's like right in front of the net. He's skating in corners. He's using his body a bit, but he's not just like a Gronk. He can stick handle. He has a little bit of speed to him. He's essentially a replacement for Zach Hyman, which is what I thought he was going to be. He was playing on the second line, well, and the first a little bit, but he's moving around a little bit. Top 2 lines. I love his play. I don't know about you. I love watching him play. I like watching the young guy play around. He's getting a lot of chances. He should have had more than 2 goals, to be honest. I love him. I think he's a great addition. What do you guys think?
I think he is too. I mean, I think so far what we've seen is what I wanted to see out of him. He gives a bit of depth scoring there. He's not afraid to get hit, and that curve foot goal that I was talking about so much, he was part of the reason it happened. The puck was coming along the sideboards. He went in face first to the boards, moved the puck around, and took a big hit there, face first into the boards. And without him taking that hit and moving the puck along, that goal never would have happened. So I like the fact that, yeah, he can score and he's good in front of the net, but he's not afraid to play the body. He's not afraid to get hit to make the play, which is something that I know the Leafs have had a bit of an issue with in the past. And he's clearly showing that he's not afraid to sacrifice himself to better the team.
Yeah.
Chase?
I'd have to agree. I think he's a great fit. Like, I wanted him in Colorado this offseason. I thought he would have been a great fit for that second, third line role because top line there is solidified, same as in Toronto. Like, going into the year, you had a feeling what the mix would be for that top line. He's just an added piece that you can run through that top 9. Because if you need him to play a third line role, he can play a third line role. Like, as you said, he's not scared to go in the corners. He's willing to take a bit of a hit to make a play, which is huge. And from what I saw when he was in Arizona, he was able to find open space, move the puck to where he needed to be, and he's just shifty. He can move east to west just as well as he moves north-south. Mm-hmm. So with that kind of ability to roll in between your top 2 lines, even top 3, with the depth you guys have and how speed the Leafs have, he becomes such an essential piece and such a bonus to have there. Because if you give him that space, he's going to make a team pay, but at the same time, too, if you needed to make a little bit of space for someone, he's able to alleviate some of that pressure, as we saw in that curve foot goal. He allowed Nylander to find the spot down low. We got the puck down low, and then that allowed Kerfoot to kind of find that little soft spot right in the slot. So he does a lot of things very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree completely. So I want to take 2 seconds here and talk about Richie quick.
Of course you do.
I know he's got no points on the board. I know he's got no. I said last episode that I want to see him on the power play planted in front of the net. And if you go back and watch in the second period, about 11 minutes left, the game they won against Ottawa, the Leafs had a 5-on-3. Breaking down that 5-on-3, when Richie was on the ice, it was a 4-on-2 because he was planted right in front of the net. And Josh Brown, number 3 on Ottawa, just stood there pushing Richie out of the way. That's all he did. He just stood there and pushed and pushed and pushed Richie, opening up a space for a player to swing around and get in position for a one-timer or a easy pass for a quick shot on net. Richie doesn't need to be getting the points, but if he can tie up a defenseman in front of the net and make it a 5-on-3 to a 4-on-2, I think that increases his value. Without him getting points, just being a body on the ice takes away one of their players and gives us more room to move around. And that's what I was excited to see about him. Like I said, 11 minutes left in the second period, game 3. Go watch it. You'll see what I mean.
All right.
No. But is that worth $2.5 million?
That's the problem.
Because you can take Justin Hall, who is taller.
Yep.
Maybe not as thick, but you can do what the Bruins did for years with Chara. Put Hall in front of that, who can do the same thing, and he's not making 2.5, and you could have spent that somewhere else. That's where my mind goes. Don't get me wrong, he does do that role very well.
Yes.
But $2.5 million for a guy who you're just going to plant in front of the net that's not necessarily getting points.
I mean, Hall's making $2 million. It's not a big difference.
But you already had him on the team. You just signed Richie to 2.5. That 2.5 could have gone somewhere else.
I agree. I think we give him a bit more time, and we'll see. And you know what? I might be wrong. They might move. But I know that there was goals scored where he was standing right in front of the net. I believe it was Nylander's goal in the third period, the game-winning goal of Game 1. Richie was planted right in front of the net and blocked and screened the goaltender there. I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was Game 1 that he caused the screen that Nylander got the goal. So, again, he's not putting up goals or assists, but his presence on the ice is making a difference.
Yep. No, I fully agree with you. It's, to me, because of the cap era right now,
it's a big price.
It's a big pricing, but as you said, and as I said earlier, kind of before we started recording, same thing I say to myself, I got to keep reminding myself, saying to my brother, it's an 82 game season. We're only 4 games in.
Yeah,
exactly.
We have to relax. And okay, still $2.5 million, but what's going to happen games 20, 25, 30?
Yeah.
We'll see different stats come out at that point.
Yeah.
I think you can say things are early until like American Thanksgiving, kind of like November, maybe December. That's up until that point. You can say you're kind of working on it. People are new to the team, but then around that point, that's kind of this is the team. This is what these players are going to give me.
I'd say December 1st or so.
Yeah.
Right. Give you a month and a half to. Yeah, it gives you a month and a half to kind of go through all your little kinks, figure things out, move players around. But by December 1st, if you don't have a confident lineup, you're in trouble.
Yeah, because it's like it's new systems and stuff like that. You're not expecting people to be amazing right off the bat from a different team. I get it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I had to slip into something more comfortable.
All right. All right, Chase, I want to get your opinion on Nylander and how he's doing there. Because, in my opinion, I mean, he leads the Leafs in points right now with a point a game. He's at 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists.
Yep.
Every time he's on the ice, he just looks dominant. He looks like he was pulled right from the Montreal series last year in the postseason. He was pulled right from that series and dropped right into this year. There's been no slow up in his game. He's dominant every time he's on the ice, and you notice him every time he's on. And it shows. He's leading the Leafs in points right now.
He found his game.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been solid ever since, I don't know, halfway through last year. He's been just solid.
This year's been different than the end of last year.
Yeah, I'm just saying, he kind of found it at the end of last year, and he's been solid, and then around playoffs, he just another level.
Yeah,
this is the Willie Nylander that we saw when he played for Sweden in the World Juniors. This is the Willie Nylander that the Leafs were expecting to get right when he came over.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I think he fell into one of those scenarios where, unlike his brother who spent a little time in the O, just kind of getting a little bit of a seasoning there, he came right over from Sweden. So he had, again, it's one of those things, same thing with Timothy Liljegren. You have to get used to smaller ice, a different pace of game, and little less room to move. So it took a couple of years, and I will fully admit I was one of the haters on that contract. Now, after seeing him play over the last, let's say, 18 months, that contract is a bargain.
Yeah.
And we're finally starting to see the Nylander that we all were waiting for. He's a playmaker. He's able to find open ice. He's able to make open ice now. And his shot has always been lethal, and he's just letting it fly. It's almost like now that all the pressure has shifted to Marner and Matthews in playoffs, it's like he can sit back and do whatever he wants.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's the weight off his shoulders. He's playing with he's playing with a couple different line combinations. When you're playing with a center like Tavares, or you're mixing in with a young guy like Bunting, who's about similar age, or even like a Kerfoot that okay, they're going to do a lot of the defensive work. I just have to focus on putting the puck in the net.
Yeah.
It allows him to be a little bit more free and work the way that he wants to. So that's what we're starting to see, and I can only see him going up. The only thing that scares me now for the Leafs side of it and the rest of the league is what is his next contract going to look like? Because I'd love to get him in Colorado, but I don't think we're going to be able to afford him.
We have 3 more years. We got 3 years where we start worrying about that.
It's only 3.
Hey, I said the same
it's
thing
only 3?
about McKinnon last year, and I'm still worried, even though that contract comes up in 2.
Yeah.
I'd be worried.
I know. The Leafs have other issues they got to worry about.
Many issues.
But Nylander, he is taking over as like Matthews is your like he's the guy. He's the face of the franchise.
Yeah.
With Willie coming playing the way that he is, and also too that style he has coming into the rink and when he leaves, those outfits are phenomenal.
Willie Styles.
Yeah.
He is pushing Matthews in the sense where he almost feels, I guess, a little bit of a chip to his shoulder. He's put up numbers. Matthews has been like he puts up numbers, but when it comes to playoff time, there's a little bit of an imbalance. So I think Willie's trying to push to show like, hey guys, like you're talking Matthews Marner, but hey guys, I'm over here. Like,
well, both Matthews and Nylander's contract year.
Yeah.
So it's a scary time.
Great.
But that's a problem for the future.
Yes.
We'll deal with that when we cross that bridge. All right. I think that's it for Leaf players. Unless you want to touch on Campbell and
I have an honorable.
Mraz.
I have an honorable mention.
What do you got?
Alex Bishop.
He's Alex Bishop. Go ahead.
Alex Bishop, for those of you who are not aware, was our EBUG at Game 3 because we couldn't pull up because of the cap trouble we were in. Without Mrazek, we had to pull up a goalie. We couldn't afford to bring Hutchinson up, so we signed a U of T goalie named Alex Bishop to suit up and sit on the bench. And for those of you who are longtime Leaf fans, emergency backup goalies are not something we have good history with.
They win.
They do win. But if if it was a Leaf backup goalie, it would have been different. Thankfully, he did not play. He probably had the best day of his life, though. So
absolutely,
Alex Bishop, I salute you. You beautiful man.
Yeah, because they signed him for a 3-game contract.
They did.
Right?
He made the trip to Ottawa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only reason they had to sign him, though, is because Justin Hall was sick.
Yeah.
Right? So usually it would have been okay, but you can't lose 2 players. We can only do 1 at a time.
Hey, guy paid for his tuition.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, the funny thing is, so I read a quick little thing afterwards. If everyone remembers David Ayers.
Can't forget him.
It was actually supposed to be Bishop that was the EBUG that night, but I forget the exact reason why he couldn't make it.
It's a cycle.
To the game.
It's a cycle.
So
he was on the next cycle, which was like a week later. He just missed it.
He missed it by I think 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
Or he would have been playing net for Carolina, which I think, to be honest, at that point Carolina would have had a better chance to win because Bishop actually plays decent hockey. Where the Leafs didn't take advantage of David Ayers, they should have been shooting from everywhere. I was at that game; they did not shoot enough. But
so you had a blast.
Good for that kid. It's a day to enjoy. He's got a memory. He's got a jersey now.
Yeah, he's officially an NHL goaltender.
He is.
Man.
Yeah. Well, did you see his interview that he gave pre-game?
I didn't.
No.
When they asked like how are you feeling about the game? So nervous for my pre-game nap. I studied for my midterm instead.
That's amazing. Good for that kid.
Yeah.
That's great.
I don't know. We didn't have to play him, which is good, but he's officially an NHL goaltender. So
yeah, man.
We'll give him that.
I mean, talking about memories, Chase, you are not a Leafs fan, and you got to go see one of the most embarrassing losses in Leaf history. What was the atmosphere like there?
Everyone was confused.
Fair.
When Reimer went down in the first period, it looked like he tweaked his groin or knee. So Mrazek came in, and then when I saw Mrazek going out to play the puck that far out of the net near the blue line, and I believe if I remember correctly, it was Kyle Clifford he collided with. I knew something bad happened because I didn't see Mrazek pop back up because I got seats from work. So I was row 2 right beside, I think it was be the Leafs penalty box. So it's hard to see down that sideboard, but I see them kind of get him up and he goes off the ice. And I was with a couple of clients and everyone's around looking like, what's going on? Like, does Reimer come back in? I'm like, no, the EBUG should be coming in. Like, you got to give him a few minutes to get dressed. And I said to my customers and a couple of fans around me goes, what the hell is an EBUG? I'm like, emergency backup goalie. And then all of a sudden, David Ayres comes out, and I'm like, oh, dear Lord. Because I didn't know, because when he first stepped on the ice, he looked lost. Like, almost like, what am I doing here?
He was wearing his Marley's pads, too.
Oh, he was wearing all of, was it Casimir Casasul's old gear?
Right, yeah.
So, and he actually turns the skate to the wrong net. He was going to the Leafs net when he needed to go to the far end.
Oh, no.
So it was wild to see, and then every time the Leafs got it, even if the puck was outside the blue line, they were yelling "shoot," because well, why wouldn't you try to throw him off? He actually Ayres played the puck a couple times, looked pretty good doing it, but I found it funny because he was wearing all Marley like Leafs Marley's colors. As he came out for the third period, they had got him red pant shells to cover up the Leafs logos. So it was hilarious to watch. I was dying, but no, it was amazing. Like the fans loved it. Like even after losing to him, the Leafs faithful stayed, clapped for him, gave him a standing. Oh, like it was wild.
Oh, buddy,
It's your Cinderella story.
Yeah.
It is.
I cycled from extreme rage to just laughing my ass off watching that game. I couldn't help but laugh. I was having a blast.
Well, if they took a couple more minutes to get him on the ice, I was going to run around and say, hey, guys, if you got equipment, I play goalie. I can go out. It would have been embarrassing for me, but hey, why not? Let's do it.
I volunteer.
No, Chase, let's be honest. You were playing against the Leafs, and it was an embarrassing situation. They would have lost to you still. You would have played the game of your life. They would have only taken like 3 shots, and then you would have came to us and be like, I beat the Leafs.
Yeah, but if they shot 5 hole, I'm screwed. My 5 was like yay big, like it's massive.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. Let's move on here quick to the rest of the league. And first thing I want to touch on are the suspensions being handed out. So we'll start in order. Let's go with Landeskog first. So Chase, I know he's a hometown boy. You Colorado fan. What do you think of?
That's a suspension.
Yeah.
There's no way to say it. 2 games for me. I think it should have been 1. I'm a strong believer where his last suspension was back in 2017, so it's been about 4 years. If it's been that long of a time between suspensions, it shouldn't wipe the slate clean, but it shouldn't because they gave him 2 because he's a repeat offender. It should be 1 because he hasn't done anything in the past. Because it's also Landeskog. He's not a dirty player.
No.
Mm-hmm. The suspensions have been like kind of those plays where he's so amped up, he's trying to get the team going again, and it's the wrong hit at the wrong time.
It is a
but
suspension.
Either way, it's a suspension. Kirby Dach is down on one knee, he's in a very vulnerable position. Landeskog does drop to his level. It's not like he runs in standing up, but he does make the hit. It's about, I'd say, about a 1.5 feet, 2 feet off the boards.
Probably, yeah.
And he goes right in. The only thing that kind of pisses me off in the sense of they gave him 2 games, Dach didn't leave hurt. He bounced right back up, and he started the power play right after.
Yeah.
They look at injuries for the length of suspension as well. Since there was no injury, there's been a mass amount of time. To me, it should have been 1 game. Either way, that's a suspendable hit. He's in a vulnerable position. It's far away from the boards. I won't get too pissed about the 2-gamer, but it's a well-deserved suspension. Like, that's all I can say. Like, he deserved it.
So I agree and disagree. I agree that yes, but I disagree with you. I think it is worth 2 games. Okay. I don't, and not for the fact that he's a repeat offender. I don't care if it was a rookie's first game and he made that hit. It had a high potential of injury. Mm-hmm. That's how I look at it. Whether the guy was injured, if he got injured, yes, give him more time. However, the way that Dotch was down like that, head first facing the boards, and I know that Landeskog dropped to his height to make the hit, but if he's dropping his height, hitting a player that's lower than him, he's forcing him downward,
Yeah.
and now he's going downward head first into the boards. And I think based on the potential for injury, yes, I think he deserves the 2 games.
Makes sense.
I agree.
Brandon?
I totally
Yeah.
agree. I think it's a 2-game suspension. Again, not because he's a repeat offender. I think we can tell Landeskog's not a repeat offender. He's not a dirty player, like you said. But the hit itself, it's too dangerous to do, and it's not like he had intent to injure.
No.
But that's a position where you should be able to tell. You're a professional hockey player. You should be like, if I hit a guy like this in that position, it's bound to do some damage. You should be able to tell that.
Now, with that being said, I want to fight it from both sides here a little.
Yeah.
Because I have a standpoint that yes, I think suspension. Yes, it's 2 games. However, fighting from the other side, Kirby Dotch played the puck. Like, yes, he was down on one knee, he had his leg extended. He was still playing the puck. So, I guess it's the question of, like, does Landeskog just back off and let him play the puck and let him have an offensive dump in, which could lead to a goal?
It's hard.
Right? Like, it's such a hard call to make because if Landeskog let's say he let him lay off and they dumped it in and turned it over and got a goal on it, well, now you're sitting here going, Landeskog, why didn't you do something? Except when he does do something, he's suspended 2 games. So I think it's one of those situations where, for Landeskog, unfortunately, it was a lose-lose.
It was absolutely.
Play the or let him play it offensively.
I will fight it from like the other angle as well, because there's one thing that also can't be like when Dodge goes down, he is shoulder to shoulder with the board. So if he's on his feet clean, it still could be classified boarding, but you get away with a little bit more of it's a hockey play kind of thing. However, when he does play it, there is 2 ways Landeskog can go with it. It's either he lets it go, or you play the puck at that point. Because the way Dodge was down, if he tries to dump it in, it's most likely going to be a muffin, and it's going to flutter. So there is the other way of he could have slowed up or gone for a stick lift and taken the puck. But in the scenario when you're in the game and you start to see the momentum drain from your team, because that's where it was. Chicago started picking up the pace of the play, and Colorado was starting to get back on their heels. Landeskog made a decent hit behind the net. I think it was on Seth Jones, if I remember correctly. And then as he turned around, he saw Dodge. He could have slowed up. He could have backed off. But when the adrenaline's pumping for a guy like Landeskog, who's there to get the energy flowing, it's hard to slow up in those scenarios. Like as I said, he could have easily played the puck instead of the man. Either way, it happened.
That's
suspension.
fair.
As I said, the suspension was handed out. It deserved a suspension. I can kind of bounce back and forth, 2 games, 1 game, whatever it is. At least for my way, at least I look at it as it's early in the season.
Yeah.
These games are a little bit toss up. Like, okay, if we lose, then that's not the end of the world. But kind of what Brandon and your point was after this happened was kind of goes back. What if Kadri did it?
Suspended for 60 games.
How many games?
60.
Yeah. Now, he's a repeat offender who has offended multiple times.
He's very offensive.
He's a repeat offender, but the NHL hates that guy, honestly. Like he's a repeat offender, but some of the stuff that's like 6 games, and then I'm sorry, I don't remember the hit, but it was either last playoffs or the playoffs before.
Justin Polk.
Yeah, Kadri got suspended. And then the next series, someone did the exact same hit, the exact same injury, and it was like, okay, you get half as many games as Kadri did. It's like, really?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah,
well,
it's bad.
Even going to last night's game against the Capitals, the NHL's cracking down on cross-checking. I love it because we saw that go wild through the playoffs last year. Kucherov took one in the ribs, which ended up, I think, giving him a hairline fracture, cracking one.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But last night, there's a couple of cross-checks they missed in the corner by both Burakovsky and Jensen from the Capitals. Literally, Kadri goes in, and it's not like a heavy cross-check. It's just a light one. Arm goes straight up. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, You're targeting him so bad right now. It's unbelievable.
It's really bad.
It's the name that goes with it, and it's the game. He's got to realize, kind of like what Marchand did or has done over the last 4 years.
I mean,
you can be a pest, but you got to be able to find that line. And Kadri's getting there, but he still gets too rambunctious.
Marchand's
and he goes over it.
Marchand's the smartest pest in the NHL. They're like, you can't punch people after the whistle. Fine, I'll lick them.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is no rule against it.
That's what he means. Like,
it's amazing. Like, I don't know how.
If there's a loophole in the book,
you'll find it.
Found it and highlighted that thing.
You sit there before the game and go, oh, there we go, right there. I'm gonna go do that.
Yeah.
So he's watching on the bench. Somebody like elbows someone in like the kidney, and the ref doesn't call it. Write that down. Write that down. Write that down.
He's got a little notebook there. Yeah. Other people are watching game film. He's taking notes. Yeah.
They're watching the penalties called. He's watching the penalties not called.
Yeah. That's pretty much how he plays. Yeah. It's pretty much okay. So I got another one here. Brandon, did you see the suspension that Larkin got?
Yeah, I saw the Superman punch.
Okay, so what's your opinion on the whole play there? Not just the suspension, everything involved with that play.
The hit before it?
Yes.
I think both of them should have got the penalty, because honestly, that punch was a retaliation of a dirty hit. Like, maybe not
fair.
Dirty, but like it was definitely a nasty hit. Like that was more of a hockey play than anything. Maybe, like you're doing a punch, you're not supposed to be Superman punching, but you're also not supposed to be going after guys' pushing guys' heads face first into the boards. And of course, referee consistency, no call on that. So what are you gonna do? Oh, you just nailed one of my. Was it the captain that got nailed into the boards? Yeah, you just knocked my captain face first into the boards. No call, so I'm not going to let you do that. I'm going to punch you in the face. I think
you want to jump on that one?
Oh, Joseph should have been suspended. That if anything, if you're going to suspend Landeskog, you have to suspend Joseph, because that is, if anything, to me, that's a little bit more dangerous because he's further away from the board.
Absolutely,
he's going in a lot quicker to play the puck, and the stick is clearly. You said you're trying to crack down a cross checking. That's a cross check to the back of the numbers. Sends Larkin headfirst into the boards. No penalty for Joseph. No suspension for Joseph.
Nothing.
Larkin gets up and, he does turn around and swing for the fences. But the punch is more of a glancing blow.
Yeah.
Joseph got right back. He held his face but got right back up afterwards and tried to fight Larkin after Larkin had just fought. I don't know who it was for the Lightning. But you can see after Tyler Bertuzzi jumps on him to make sure he's okay, because Larkin took a while to get up after that.
Yeah.
He clearly did not know where he was, but it was just the adrenaline that got him up, and he was pissed. Yeah. So if you're going to suspend Larkin for one game for intent to injure for that punch, which, you can argue that both ways. Yeah. You have to suspend Joseph as well for the hit from behind.
How can you call the punch intent to injure, but you can't call the face version of the boards intent to injure?
Well, this is where I go back, and people say I'm a conspiracy theorist. People make fun of me or come at me for saying this, but the NHL is favoring Tampa and Vegas, because Vegas is pulling in a lot of revenue because they're an expansion team, and Tampa is now back-to-back Stanley Cup. So you're gonna see a lot of favorable calls for both those teams moving forward.
I mean, Chase, on that. To fight against that, then that would mean they were favoring Toronto, and I can say with certainty they don't favor Toronto.
No, absolutely not.
Toronto brings in I think they just announced Toronto is the most lucrative, makes the most money out of the teams now. They are more than the New York now.
Yeah,
they're a Canadian team.
Pardon?
They're a Canadian team.
Yes.
Bettman does not like Canadian teams.
But they bring in the most money. And they
doesn't matter. Bettman wants everything south of the border.
Yeah, fucking Bettman.
Yeah. No, so back to that Larkin. I agree with Chase. Joseph should be suspended 2 games, the exact same as what Landeskog got. I think Larkin's punch was completely out of reaction and adrenaline. But I do agree with the 1-game suspension there.
Absolutely.
And I saw an interview with Larkin, and he said the same thing. He's like, I lost my second. I took a swing. I deserve this 1 game. I'm just looking to get past this. And so he agrees with the 1-game suspension. I do. I think the only issue with that play, the fact that Joseph walked away after getting knocked out.
Yeah.
He went down pretty quick. But he got, yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, he at minimum should have gotten a penalty, but he should have received a 2-game suspension as well.
Yes, fully agree.
And just nothing. They ignored it, and all they saw was launch.
Yeah.
So
the referee can say that punch doesn't happen if the whistle blows for a penalty.
No, I think in that case it would have happened.
You think so?
I think the way that he jumped up and swung, it wasn't as if like, oh, what's going on? I think it was he got hit, he hit the ground, took a second to regain himself, jumped up, saw the player that did it, and swung. I've been there. It's adrenaline at that point.
For a guy who got hit from behind, he sure took a number very quick, and he got up and tried to call it.
Yeah.
Like, he's going for the fences.
It was a good punch.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, went down pretty quickly.
All right. Well, maybe not in this case, but if you fail to call stuff like that, if they keep failing to call stuff like that, that will cause injuries.
Yeah,
it'll cause more additional hits like that. If revenge hits. Like, if you're not going to call hits like that and you leave it go, it's happened in the past. The team is going to try and get their comeuppance for it, right? They're going to think Tavares last year, right? There didn't need to be a fight, but you know what? They got up and Foligno, thank you. Foligno was like I have to fight. You knocked down my cap. I know it wasn't intentional, but I have to fight you.
But it has to happen.
It has to happen.
Saturday in the Colorado St. Louis game, right away, first shift, Braden Shen dropped the gloves with Kadri to get back for the fall kit. So like it's a bit of an odd rule, or like an odd like players code, where even though there's a suspension handed out, penalty given, it's almost like you still have to go out and defend your teammate, which to me, I love it.
I do too. But
some hockey people don't. Like some people out there think it's barbaric.
Yeah,
I love it.
I love it.
You're standing up for your brother.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
It gets worse though when the refs don't police it.
Correct.
Because I love it too, but you don't want to have too much of it. You don't want to get people. You don't want to have people injured unnecessarily because the refs don't know how to do their job.
Yeah.
So
completely agree.
If you're going to call the rule book, consistently call the rule book. That's that's what I'm going to say. I've said it already. I don't think I need to say it again. Right?
Yeah, I agree. All right. I want to jump over real quick. I want to get your opinion. 30 seconds each. Evander Kane. He's got 3 years left. $7 million on his contract. At the end of this 3 years, A, is he still in the NHL? B, does he get re-signed? What do you think? I'll start with Chase.
No, he's not in the NHL. No, he doesn't get re-signed. He might get traded if someone's willing to take on that cancer, but I think right now, best bet for San Jose, bury him in the minors, let the contract wear out, and just cut your losses down because no one's going to take him. You can't terminate the contract. Yeah, that's all I got to say about him. Like, it's like 21 game suspension now for COVID. He's been found not guilty, or the allegations of domestic abuse has been thrown out because they didn't find any evidence. So it's it's cancer.
No, I don't think so. I think
I read it last night.
I think the domestic abuse is still going on. It was the gambling that was thrown out for no evidence.
No, gambling's still going.
Oh, is it the other way around? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I read it last night when I put the notes down. Like, the domestic abuse allegations, they can't find definitive proof.
Okay.
But the gambling, they're still looking into because he's known to live in the MGM Grand. Or wherever there's a casino, you'll find him at the table.
Yeah. All right, Brandon, what's your opinion on him there?
Kind of the same thing. Like, the only way he might... Like, he's not playing on the Sharks, that's for damn sure. I've heard interviews, like, that the team doesn't like him. He's a cancer in the room. The only thing I can think of is... I mean, sorry, how much was he making again? 8?
He's right now he's making $7 million
7
for the next for this year and 2 years after.
Yeah, and we're in a cap. We're in an era the cap's not going up too. Yeah,
So
I mean San Jose's kind of in a rebuild right now, so I guess the best thing they can do is, like Chase said, bury him in the minors because no one's gonna want to take a $7 million contract on a guy like him right now. I mean, he's a good player.
so
He was the Sharks' best player last year. If I'm
yeah, he
correct.
was.
Yeah,
So
he was putting up career highs as well.
So
But
let me re-ask this question then. Sorry. At the end of his contract, when the contract ends, is he still in the NHL afterwards? At the end of this 3-year contract, so $7 million is off the table now. Does he get re-signed to a different team for a lower amount?
so he'll be 30.
Chase, you say no.
I'm
Brandon,
saying no.
what are you thinking there?
So he'll be 33. Someone will take a chance on him.
I agree. I think it'll be the same situation as D'Angelo on New York. Or sorry, not New York. Carolina. Didn't he just sign with Carolina?
Yes, sir.
And
Yeah, like potential 50-point defenseman, said to be cancerous in the room as well. Said about it. Yet someone's taking a gamble on him because he could be a 50-point. So I think Kane, when his contract's up, I think he.
Hey, Jason,
I definitely don't think it'll be for $7 million though.
no. Yeah, like I think you might get like a 2-year bridge deal or something like that somewhere.
The 2 years, $2 million.
Just to
2 years,
see.
$1 million.
Just to see,
Just
because you know what
we'll see.
you know the player himself is a good player.
The
Whether-
only way he does sign somewhere is if apparently he's going to get help. Like I don't know if it's through the NHL setup, but the only way he does it is if he can atone for everything. But the problem is when you've been allocated to bet against your own team,
Yeah.
and you've been blackballed by Buffalo, Winnipeg, and now San Jose.
Yeah.
That there's not many teams that will take the chance. Maybe Carolina because they're a bunch of jerks, and they'll try to go for him. But I don't see him being around because I think he's gonna. I think after this 3-year deal's up, because he's already declared bankruptcy. Like
Yes.
he's
Yeah.
blowing through his money. Like it's at the point now where at least D'Angelo, yeah, he's been a cancer in the room, but it's not been allegations of domestic abuse, betting against his own team, fake COVID passports. It's been some not good comments to other teammates, but this is a guy that has been just ripped apart by many, many different teammates that I think he's done.
The one thing I don't get is the betting against your own team thing, especially in a year where he put up career high numbers. So that I don't quite get.
Because the Sharks sucked last year.
Yeah, but like, it wasn't like he. It's not like people could say, "Oh, you were sabotaging your team." He was the best player on the team, so. It's kind of like being on. Well, I was gonna say being on Buffalo, but we'll get to that in a minute. Jesus, it's like
that's the story.
Yeah,
it's like being on a team you know was gonna be in last place, and saying, "Oh yeah, like the team's gonna lose." It's sketchy because you're on the team, but it's not like you're the one causing them to suck. Like it's not like a goalie bet against their own team and then having like a .7 save percentage.
I think it's the fact that you're betting against your own team.
I get
Or
it.
betting on the team. I think it's not allowed. It shouldn't be allowed.
Shouldn't be, no.
And if he was found guilty of it, he shall.
Yeah.
But that's not happening because they didn't find anything.
No, I'm not defending him. I was just saying the one thing I didn't get was it's not like someone could say you're sabotaging your team. I don't think that would be true. That's the only defense I'm giving him.
I agree with that completely. All right, so moving on to what you just said there, Brandon. Buffalo Sabres. What is going on there? Is it a fluke? And is this going to come to an end on Friday when they?
Who do they play Friday? Sorry, you cut off.
They play Boston on Friday. So, like, that's what I mean. They're 3-0 right now. They're playing well. I mean, they've outscored opponents 12-4 in the last 3 games. However, the opponents are the Canadiens, the Coyotes, and the Canucks, all of which have a losing record. And out of those 3 teams, only one of them have a win. So, is it the fact that they're playing well, or are they just playing teams that are worse than them? What do you guys think?
Well, so you go first.
Sorry?
I'll let you go first on this one.
All right. I think it's a little bit of both. I think how do I put this? Buffalo is in this situation where they don't have any pressure to win. And like with Jack Eichel, if you have a player like Jack Eichel or if you have a player like Connor McDavid, you always have the pressure that you can't be a bottom team. You should be playing well. You don't have Jack Eichel anymore. Your management group is borderline brain dead at this point, going through those negotiations. So you don't have any pressure. Everyone's just assuming you're gonna get like less than 10 wins throughout the season. So you just have to play a hockey, right? And like you said, they played Montreal, who's like abysmal right now. The Arizona, which is always bad, and Vancouver, which isn't great either. So weak teams, but they're also playing pretty well. Like they're playing pretty high falling offense. Dahlin's playing great, and the team again just no pressure. They can just kind of play. They don't have to worry too much. So I think they're just having fun. If you watch some of the games, they're all smiles. If you look at Montreal, it's a very different story. But yeah, I think it's a little bit of both.
But do they continue the win streak on Friday against Boston?
I don't think they do, but I don't think they get blown out.
Fair.
Yeah, I think they're going to ride the high a little bit.
Okay. What do you think there, Chase?
It's a fluke.
Yeah, me too.
Their closest game so far this year was a 2-1 win in a shootout against the Arizona Coyotes, who their first 3 games so far this year, they lost 8-2 to the Blue Jackets, 2-1 to the Sabres in a shootout, and then lost 7-4 to the Blues. They struggled to put goals in against Arizona. Now you're going up against Boston, who just lost tonight 6-3 to Philadelphia. So they're going to be pissed that they lost to the Flyers. So now you're going to be playing that. Allmark gets his first start of the season against his old team. He'll be fired up for that. I think the streak ends on against the Bruins, and we're going to start seeing
the real Buffalo
them come to life, because it's going forward. Their schedule gets hell of a lot harder down the stretch.
What do you mean they're playing American teams and not Canadian teams?
No, they just start playing just good teams. Like after the Bruins, they have the Devils, but then it goes Lightnings, Ducks, Kings, Sharks, Kraken, Red Wings, Capitals. So you got some softer teams, but
you got some hard
you're going to be going against some teams that are moving quick.
Yeah.
And they didn't play against the Ducks or the Kings, which are going to be heavier teams than what they're used to. And the same thing, now you're seeing the West teams come east. You don't know what you're getting, because you didn't play them last year, and it's two different styles of hockey from the east to the West Coast. So
big difference.
I think, because Craig Anderson's rocking a 1.5 goals against average and a 954 save.
Not sustainable.
But he's doing that against teams that can't score.
Exactly. So now you're going up against a team that's got arguably one of the best top lines in the league. They have unbelievable depth now going down that center, even the wing spot.
Yeah.
This is a fluke. I don't see that winning streak move any further than the Bruins.
I just thought it was fun.
Yeah, it is. It's fun to see, but
it is quite a shock to see.
I'm gonna go with Chase on this one. I think that they had their fun, they got their 3, and I think the Bruins are gonna put an end to it.
Yeah, I do think Buffalo will do better than what we all thought over the offseason. Not by much, but I think they will do a little bit better than what we expected.
That's fair.
To me, they're stupid if they do.
Yeah. Well, do you know what the over/under was for Vegas? How many games they were expected to win for Vegas? Like Vegas odds, they were expected. The over/under was 15 games.
Ouch.
Yeah,
I would have given that to the Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah,
because the Coyotes are all
beat them.
in the first 3 games of the year to get the top pick, and that's commitment.
Yeah. Start from the beginning.
Like, lose 8-2 and 7-4. Those are 2 of your games in the first 3. I know you want Shane Wright at the number 1 pick in the draft, but come on, at least come out hot a little bit.
Yeah.
Whose saying was it a couple years back? Make a save, get a trade. Who was that? Do you guys remember that or no?
I remember the comment, but I don't know what goal it was.
I forget who it was, what
would-
team it was.
Definitely.
But it was make a save, get a trade. I think it was it Detroit?
It might have.
I don't remember. I can't remember. I just remember that it just seemed like every time the team had a spark of something, they made moves and shut it down.
Was it Edmonton when they tanked for McDavid?
No.
No.
No, it wasn't that long ago. No. All right, I want to talk about something else here. Kucherov.
Cooch.
So Kucherov going on the LTIR, meaning he's
Again.
missing at least 10 games and 24 days. So everyone's first thought is last year, right? Kucherov on the LTIR. They're going to push it out to the postseason. He's going to come back, do what he did last year, and they're going to win the Stanley Cup. My question is, I don't care about that. What does this do for his career long term? Did you guys see the hit?
I actually didn't. I saw screenshots of him on the ground. I didn't see the actual hit.
It looked like he was turning, and he pulled his groin while turning. Like he was barely touched by the opposing player. He was just kind of turning, and boom, there goes the groin. Down he goes, and that makes me fear. Because you look at other players who've had serious injuries, and like it's look at Erik Karlsson.
Yeah,
He's not
well,
the same.
It's
that's a
different.
little bit extreme.
I'm watching it right
different,
now.
but at the same time, I mean, he was turning not even that hard, and he went down.
So it wasn't even really a hit. He just kind of gets hit in the back a little bit as he's turning.
But that was more.
It's more he gives the hit.
That's enough, eh?
Sorry, Chase.
It's more that he gives the hit. Like there's just the way they kind of collide and they turn. If you watch the foot the leg that is injured, it catches a rut as he turns, and it kind of just the way his body opens up, and then you just see him grab the groin.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I haven't read enough through it. I don't know if that's the same leg that he had the hip surgery on, because that can cause a little bit, because the hip flexor will control a lot of that muscle movement throughout. But the one thing though that will screw over the Lightning, if they want to try to do some type of moves, is yes, it opens up $9.5 million. Because he's on LTIR. However, he's only out 10 weeks. So he'll be back in around that January time frame, maybe February. But with an 82 game season, that now leaves you February, March, and most of April. Plus the Olympic break too. So that pushed the season a little bit further. They will not have enough room to make a trade because he'd be back before the playoffs start.
Yeah.
Who do you move at that point?
I don't know.
Stamkos has already rejected the request to waive his no movement 2 or 3 times, so he's not going to do it.
No.
So now they're going to have to sit there and play out the way that's going to go with their roster, in my opinion, and wait for Kucherov to come back. It doesn't give you enough time or enough moves to do.
Which is probably what they'll do. They I don't think they'll be able to get rid of him for the season, do what they did last year. However, my bigger concern is what does this do for his career forward?
Yes, no, now that it's been hip flexor surgery, now depending on if there is an arthroscopic surgery needed for the groin or whatever the exact injury is.
And they're not sure about the surgery for this, are they? The last thing I read, they're still unsure if it needed.
Yeah, there hasn't been any decisive information if he's going for surgery or not.
Yeah.
But it's going to be one of those things now. There's been like a rib injury for him. There's been hip flexor. There's been groin. The minute your lower body starts taking that kind of abuse, especially as a skilled forward like him, you don't have the same movement in the joints. You don't have the same power in the leg. Granted, though, medicine's a lot better. The training's a lot better than what it was even 5-10 years ago. but it's still not. It's still gonna to me. It still take a little bit off of him because, perfect example. Look at Crosby. I know a lot of those injuries were head related, but
it slows him down.
We thought we would see him be dominant until he's 35, 36. He's still dominant, don't get me wrong, in his own right, but it's not the same kind of numbers he's putting up. He's getting surpassed by the younger age group.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, and you can even go further back and look at Bobby Orr with his knees. You can look at Eric Lindros with his concussions. Like, you see it through all the different decades moving forward, that once you start getting those reoccurring injuries in that similar area, you see your production start to slide down.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I mean, he's what? He's 28 years old.
Still young.
He'll be turning 29 this season. So he's not old, but I mean, to have that many injuries racked up by the age of 28, it's frightening.
I mean,
I'm 29 and I play one game and I'm sore.
I was gonna say, James, you're 28. He's 29. I have a nagging back injury. You have a nagging leg injury. Chase is probably hurting all over.
Yeah. No, I know, and that's what I mean. Like, it's not good to have injuries this young.
No.
Especially when he's that kind of talent and he moves at that kind of speed and he's got that much of a target on his back. It's scary to see what his future will be. I hope he stays in the league. I hope he's playing because he's an incredible hockey player.
You cheer for him because you cheer for the league. It's kind of like McDavid's not on my team, but when he got his collarbone shattered, I wanted him to be okay because he's an amazing player, and I want him to go on. I mean, McDavid more so because he hasn't won anything. Kucherov has won enough, in my opinion.
No way, one more.
3-peat.
If you wanted to look at the injuries and how they can affect your career, he can look at his one teammate, his captain. Look at Stamkos.
Yeah, look at Stamkos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's the prime example right now that we're looking at. Is all the talent in the world, had a rough rookie season, hit his stride in the sophomore season where usually it's the other way around. But the minute he had the leg injuries, then there was a back, a shoulder, a concussion, everything went down. So that makes me scared for Matthews now too going forward because it's been wrist, it's been back, it's been
wrist again.
Again. It's you see the young talent and you hope to God that it doesn't affect them too young.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to see it, as Brandon says, you root for the league. Like, I watched the Capitals speed bag the Avs last night, and I was hoping when Kuznetsov was taking shots on the power play to get his hat trick, I got pissed because I wanted Ovi to score one. Like, I wanted him to get a goal. Like, let's go. Let's move it.
Can we talk about Ovi out the gate? He's on fire out the gate.
He's playing like he's 28 again.
Yeah. He's going to hit that record. If he stays healthy, he's hitting it.
It's ridiculous, man. He deserves it. Do you guys...
Yeah.
Before we wrap up here, I just want to talk about Montreal, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Who... We all thought they were going to take a step back. We all knew they were going to take a step back. You lose Deneau. Price is out for the beginning of the year. You lose your captain, Shea Weber. But they're 0-4. And in those 4 games, do you know how many goals they have in total?
No.
Is it 2 or 3?
They have 3 goals in 4 games.
Yeah.
Ouch. Like, you cannot score. You think...
No.
Like... When you mentioned Buffalo, one of the games they played was Montreal because they're playing teams that can't score. Holy hell! 3 goals in 4 games.
Yeah. They got. I just pulled it up here. They got shut out 5-0 by the Sharks.
Yeah.
Yes.
The rebuilding Sharks.
Yeah. Oof. Rangers beat 3-1. Sabres 5-1. Leafs 2-1. It's worse that the Leafs are the.
I know. Why'd you have to bring that up? I was in a good mood.
The Sabres game, the Habs started their backup, Sam Montebello, who hasn't played a meaningful NHL game in probably 3 years. So that one, you're already behind the 8 ball.
But that doesn't affect your scoring.
They didn't have Hoffman. They didn't have Cedric Paquette. But at the same time, too, they had them in the lineup versus the Sharks.
Yep.
So, and it's Aiden Hill in net for the Sharks, who's not a proven starter. So they should have been able to take advantage. But when your top line of Toffoli, Suzuki, Caulfield in the first 4 games is a combined squadouche for points in general, that's an issue.
Like, what do what do you do though? Like they have no depth, right? They have Suzuki and Caulfield. Suzuki, who hasn't played that much. Caulfield, who before this year had played, I think it was like 10 regular season NHL games. Very, very young. You have like, who do you have with them to play with them to help with scoring? You got
Foley will be their winger, but then when you move to the second line, there's Dvorak. Most likely the second line would be like Dvorak, Hoffman, and I don't know who the heck they put on the left wing there, because
yeah.
it's a lot of Drouin would be on the second line as well. So like your top six is not bad.
It's pretty okay, but
the issue is you don't have your starting goalie, which hurts right away. But Jake Allen can handle the mail for a little bit.
He can.
Joel Edmondson is now out dealing with personal issues, so that's a huge blow.
You lose
to
your captain.
You lose your captain. You bring in David Savard, who can help balance it out because he's a very stay-at-home guy.
Yeah.
But it's no Shea Weber.
No.
But it's one of those things where at this point, if you keep rolling, because again, 82-game season, it's only for the first 4 games. But if you start getting towards game 10 and 15 and you're not seeing any upswing, you know what? This year, call it right there. See if you can out Coyotes the Coyotes and see if you can get a good pick. And try to get like a Shane Wright or someone like that will come in that can change the face of the franchise because you have that bona fide talent. And then now your center depth looks stupid with Wright, Suzuki, Dvorak, and Drouin can go from either wing to center. Like, that might be the move, but again, it's still early, but hopefully they can turn it around just for the sake of Montreal. Because you don't want to see a team that's that historic keep having to go through rebuild after rebuild after rebuild. I know Leafs fans, you want to see it, but hockey fan and former Habs fan when Wall was there, you want to see them at least be somewhat competitive.
Yeah, I think I was just thinking about this. It's Bergevin's last year. They've made no effort to sign him again, and I don't know the way he's constructed this team. They have Price and Weber and stuff, but he's had time to kind of build something around Shea Weber. He hasn't really done that. He's got a couple of stay-at-home defensemen stuff. Do you guys think this is Bergevin's last year? I don't think he gets signed again.
I think it heavily depends on this year.
Yeah.
I think if he gets signed again, last year will be a big aspect as to why he gets signed. Yeah. But I think it comes down to this year. But personally, no, I don't think he will.
No.
I agree with James.
Yeah, I don't think the team's done enough.
They had one magic run.
That exactly,
and they shouldn't have even gotten in. They were 16.
Like Chase said, like they've kind of been like this constant sort of a rebuild team for a long time. That's just been on the fringe of the playoffs, whether they just get in, just get out, and that's where the Montreal Canadiens have been for a long time now. So,
and you can't really,
I don't think so.
You can't really rebuild properly with Carey Price as your goaltender. It's like you're sitting around 16, 15 every single year.
Yeah.
The whole thing is, if you were to put even, I'm trying to think of like a mid-pack team. Let's go. I'll pick let's say even New Jersey squad right now with all the young talent. You put a team like that plays a little more defensively in front of Price. That team goes into the playoffs every year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The fact that Montreal's never found their identity. They've never found if they're a defensive team, if they're an offensive team. They keep trying to do we can be both. No.
They have Carey Price.
I thought their identity was always it's hard to score. It's hard to score goals on our goalie. That was their identity.
Yeah, but you can't run years on that because he can stop 4, 5, 6 shots in a row. But if you don't have a guy there to get the 7th shot or that 6th rebound or something out of the way, you're going to tire your goalie out, and we've seen it over the years.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where, going back into the 2000, let's say mid-90s to mid-2000s, New Jersey was really good. They never really had an all-star squad. They played such a great defensive system that they were perennial powerhouses, regardless in the East, because good luck trying to break into their zone. Minnesota's done that over the last decade. St. Louis has gotten that mentality as well now. So you're seeing a lot of teams find it. So, you got to find that niche. Toronto's gone offensive. Colorado, Boston, or Colorado and Toronto offensively built. Boston's a little more defensive. You look into the West for Vegas. They're very offensive. They want to hit you hard and get the puck deep. Montreal has not found that yet, and until they find it, nothing's going to happen.
I think they're gonna have to completely break it down before they can actually do anything. I think that last year was their little flash in the pan, and I think the next time you see them make a dent in the playoffs, I don't think Price is going to be behind. It's going to be between the goalposts.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I build it around Dvorak, Suzuki, Caulfield, and Drouin.
Yep.
And then you bring it in Caden Primo as your goalie, and those are the 4 pieces or 5 pieces you build around, because that's going to give you the best opportunity. The rest of it, start trading.
But can you trade Price is the big question.
No.
He was available to be taken by Seattle, and they turned on him.
The only way you trade Price is if
Exactly.
Montreal retains at least half the salary.
Not even half, even a quarter.
Yeah, because a team like Colorado or like even Toronto, you were offering to hold a quarter to half of that salary. I'll take them in a heartbeat, because in those two organizations, takes them from being at the base of the hump. You're over the hump and then some. You become a straight contender right there.
How much longer can Carey Price be Carey Price, though? That's a big question.
Let's see when he comes back from this leave.
And everyone thought he was on the decline, and look what he did last year.
They said the same thing about Wall in '96.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? It's happening all over the league. Look at. I'm going to bring it up. Look at Drew Doughty.
Oh, here we go. No, I agree with you.
Just to touch on it, you can't rule out a player. Look at Dustin Brown last year on LA. The guy's, I think, 36 years old. He was almost out of the league, and he turned around and had almost a career-high year last year. So to say a player is done, I don't think you can say that until it's absolute or they're retired. And to say Carey Price is done, I don't think we can until he retires. I think at any given point, he can turn it on and do what he does.
Yeah.
Until his average goals against goes into the threes and his save percentage isn't breaking 900,
he can still be a goalie.
then you can't say he's done yet.
I mean,
and it'll be the end of his career, because he's 34 with 5 years left.
Yeah,
he's gonna be 31 at the end of this contract.
He could definitely play the rest of that contract.
His career there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He might slip into a backup role in like the last 2-ish years, but to have a Carey Price as a backup, I'll take that.
Bobrovsky as a backup.
I would rather not have Bobrovsky as a backup.
Right.
So guys, I'm looking at the schedule. So by next Wednesday, Leafs are going to have 4 games. Actually, the 4th game is going to be still going on during our show next week. So, I might have it on in the background. If I yell, I apologize. I'll turn down my mic. But we have Leafs for the Sharks this Friday. Got Leafs and Penguins on Saturday. Got Leafs and the Hurricanes, bunch of jerks, on the Monday. And then Leafs and Blackhawks next Wednesday at 7:30. So, like I said, third period's going to be going on during our recording. What do you guys think?
We're gonna be 6 games in to this season and already have 2 back-to-backs.
Yeah.
We started the season off with a back-to-back. Our next games are Friday and Saturday, back-to-backs, and not both at home, which means we're traveling on this back-to-back.
This scheduling, did they just take names out of a hat at this point? This is bloody ridiculous.
One thing that will benefit you guys down the road as being a Leafs fan is if you have your back-to-backs early in the year, your back part of the contract will be a little spaced out going to the playoffs. It's not like the Bruins where they're spaced out now. In the final, I think it's 28 days, they play 13 games.
Yeah, which
that's stupid.
Yeah,
just give them 1 extra game this week.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know. I don't make the schedule.
Yeah,
I think real quick, next 4 games, I think they go. I think they beat the Sharks.
The hope.
I think they beat the Hurricanes.
Ooh.
Really?
and I think they beat the Blackhawks. I think they're gonna lose to the Penguins.
Okay.
So that's my prediction. I think they're gonna go 3-1-0.
What happened to 8-0 to start the season?
It was 7-0, and the losing 2 games in the
I got
first
you
four.
that.
I
Yeah.
watched that, but I do think they are still going to go 3-1 in the next four.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Chase?
Yeah,
I got them at 2-2. I think they beat both Western teams, but going up against the Pens. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change that.
No, I think
They go 2-2. I think they lose to the Sharks, just because the Sharks are on a high right now,
Okay.
hmm
and they'll beat the Pens, and they'll beat the Blackhawks. But I think the Hurricanes take them down. That's a bold prediction, but I'm going to stick by it.
Let's see how it pays off. I
and
I think they beat the Sharks. I think they beat the Pens. I think they beat the. No, you know what? I think they beat the Sharks, lose the Pens, beat the Blackhawks, and then that Hurricanes game is going to be kind of like the Rangers game from a couple days ago, where they're both going to be playing hot and heavy, and it's going to be super close, probably OT, if not like third period. They're going to be like a 1-goal game.
that's fair.
And I think
Who wins?
I think I think Carolina takes it.
See, I disagree. I think it's going to be like a 4-3 or a 5-4. I'm going with a high scoring game, that Carolina game.
Oh, I think it's gonna be high scoring. I think it's just gonna be really close.
Yeah,
One
that's
goal
fair.
game. Yeah,
That's fair.
yeah. Just the way
I want to see a shootout.
Only time will tell.
I don't want to see a shootout.
I want to see a shootout in one of these 4 games. That's all I want.
I want continuous OT, man. I would love continuous OT.
See, being
Yeah.
a goalie though, like at least for me, I don't like overtime in the sense one shot can end it.
Yeah.
I like to have 3 opportunities to. Like, if I let one in, then I know I got 2 more opportunities as long as my team can bury.
Don't let one
So
in.
if I fuck up one, then I'm able to kind of bail them out. But in overtime, it can be one shot. It could be a muffin from the point. Like one went on me last night, and I could just miss it because it didn't come in as quick as I thought. Game's over. I don't like that. I hate it.
Don't let it in. Save it.
So much more interesting.
Just
But
save it.
however, when it comes to like meaningful games like playoffs, championships, continuous OT because it's like a team game. But for regular season, I like the shootout because that way the game's done. You get it settled. It's done. It's over. Like
That's fair.
And I hate ties as well. Ties are they're a letdown. It's a tease.
Yeah.
Like here,
Yeah.
have a point. Both you guys get a point. No. I want the win.
Anyways, guys, we're gonna see you guys next Wednesday. Well, Thursday when it comes up, so we'll know what's going on in the next 4 games, and hopefully it's a win, not a lose, and definitely not a cry. All right.
All right.
Have a good night.
See ya.
See you guys.